Hey, what's up everyone? This is Silver Slayer. Thank you for tuning into this video. Are silver markets rigged, and to what extent? This is the subject of this video. There is no real answer. It's not like you can just pull out, a rule book and look and say yes it is or no it's not. There's a lot of gray area. So I want you guys to share your input and insight in this video as well. Now, I say that there's no real answer because what is rigged? I mean, is spoofing, is that considered rigged? Is that considered manipulating the prices? What's controlling silver's price behind the scenes, and to what extent? What is influencing the prices as well, though? Because to ask what's manipulating prices, you would have to also ask at the same time, well, what factors are influencing the prices and to what extent? And what is technically or would be considered rigged or not? There's many different things. I mean, let's go over some of the things that influence silver's price. Supply and demand, surplus. We also have stock market volatility. You have the dollar index. You have the industrial demand that's coming in, paying premiums. We have economic vulnerability, the political side of it. It's natural price just from money inflow, incoming to the markets as well. But there's even more than that. We can even go deeper than that if we wanted to. But for the sake of this video, let's talk about, right now. J.P. Morgan, Merrill Lynch, the Dutch bank all got caught manipulating prices in the silver market. And you would argue to say that, yes, that's why silver hasn't been breaking out. But is it, though? I mean, really, what is controlling the prices? To what extent? Is it the Federal Reserve? We know that central banks own a lot of gold and silver, but they're using it not as monetary value. So what do they know that we don't? And why are banks buying and owning, stacking so much precious metals if it's not used as quote-unquote money anymore? That raises the question of really what is their motive behind the scenes. Now, the ETF side of things is a much different market than the physical bullion. Even though they essentially are the same, ETF stands for exchange traded funds. It's like the digital, almost like the stock market way to trade or stack silver. But it's all digital. It's all the paper route. The physical bullion in precious metals is where you actually are in control of your money. If you can't hold it, you don't own it. That's the saying of the stackers. And when we're talking about silver, the market, regardless of if it's physical bullion or if it's the ETF side of it, the digital side of it, the markets are still being affected to the same extent. So what is silver's I guess does silver have any leverage, or does it have any limitations to what's being controlled by it? And also, what are the biggest controllers? What are the biggest factors at play behind the scenes that are rigging prices? Because it's not like rigging the NBA or rigging a wrestling match. It's not like tipping off the ref. It would be more of whales, more of a power move. It would be more of like J.P. Morgan using their billion-dollar company to be spoofing, placing false buy orders and tricking the public or the investors like you and I. Or how J.P. Morgan called Bitcoin a scam a couple of years ago, shot the price down, and then bought millions of dollars in Bitcoin directly afterwards. It would be more of that type, more of a power play. I made a video a couple of weeks ago about a billionaire in the precious metals world, a billionaire silver investor, that he's coming back into the markets, and you can tell because there's very crucial signs of very, very, very large purchases or sell-offs by one specific person, and you can see the patterns, and he's coming back into the market. See, that's not considered rigged, because that's someone with pure motive that just has a lot of money. That's called a whale. But when JP Morgan is placing false buy orders, canceling them before they go through, manipulating people's it would be, I guess, manipulating people's perspectives or perception of something, then that's yes, that's illegal. So I bring this video up, and I haven't even gone to the topic yet of the reason why I made this video, is because yes, silver is highly speculative right now. The prices move and sway with the single tweet of President Trump or something that catches wind that news will talk about. It's very, very, very vulnerable. And I'm curious when prices will hold some stability regardless of what President Trump tweets, regardless of, what something or whatever happens in the economy, that couldn't affect prices. When is silver going to have some foundational value that regardless of what's happening, regardless of who's trying to hurt its price, it will still move on? I want to see silver because silver is so fundamentally valuable and has so much foundation built upon it that it really does suck to see that it could still be so easily manipulated from one company that has a couple greenbacks. I mean, I think that over time, this is my opinion, over time, it will grow more, I guess it will grow more or less speculative. I think speculation is really what's driving markets right now. It's almost like cryptocurrency or stock markets right now, it seems like, where it's basically only going off of pure speculation of how people perceive the economy right now. But silver prices should be able to flourish and should be able to gain momentum regardless of what's happening in the economy. And that's really the point of this video, is when do you guys think that silver prices will be able to flourish regardless of what's happening, regardless of the US-China trade negotiations, regardless of the Hong Kong protests, regardless of how good the dollar's doing, regardless of stock markets being volatile or not? That's really where I want silver to see, because that's where the real potential lies. That's where its real freedom lies. And right now, this is risky waters for investors, because at the one single tweet could throw markets way off, or just because the dollar's strengthening today, it could shoot prices down a lot farther than people hope for. And you would think, yes, it could nudge and budge here and there. That's healthy for any market. There has to be corrections. There has to be dips. There has to be sell-offs. There has to be rallies. But when there's so many things at play that could be affecting it from a speculative point of view, that's where it gets a little dangerous, in my opinion. So what do you guys think about this? Do you guys think that silver will be building a foundation, or do you think it's always going to be speculative? Do you think that this speculation could help prices, or do you think this speculation is going to be hurting prices? I think that it would be hurting prices, if anything, unless people are using it or misusing it in different matter. But when people are trying to control markets into their own to their own willpower, that's a very, very dangerous power play, and it's unfair to investors as well. Not saying that silver is going to be held at $17 forever. There's going to be a breakthrough as well. The bubble has to pop sooner than later. And coming up the 2020 presidential election, I just made a video earlier today, if you guys want to check that out, talking about why silver is going to explode in 2020. I highly recommend checking out that video. The 2020 presidential election is coming out. Industrial demand, they're paying premiums. Industries are paying premiums for silver right now, which does not happen. So that's a huge indicator that there's going to be bigger things at play. Out of silver's willpower, out of its natural price range, and out of the society or economy's arms, is going to take on a life of its own sooner than later. And I'm just curious to see when that's going to happen. What is the time frame? Do you guys think it's going to be in the next 5, 10 years? Do you think it'll be later on or sooner? Do you think it could be next year? I definitely think that prices will be exploding quicker than this would happen, because the speculation could lead prices up or downwards. So it's just something to think about, a little food for thought, but I am curious to hear what you guys have to say. I do also want to mention, when I'm bringing up the central banks, they have an interesting move in it, because they own the money. Federal Reserve owns the money, but if they know that their money is depleting due to hyperinflation, then that could be their main motive to be owning so much gold and silver, because they know the potential behind it. But obviously, you still have to think that their hero right now is the greenback. But if it's burning to the ground, $24 trillion in debt, then they obviously have to take some precautions due to that. I mean, you have to be realistic to some extent to say, hey, this financial situation is collapsing beneath our feet. We need something to be able to back it up, and that's where precious metals would come into play. But anyways, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. I tried to make a little bit of a different type of video, more of a conspiracy type video, but I definitely think it's relevant, and I think I would love to hear your rational opinions on this. I mean, it's a very vast. There's a lot of gray area, like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, but obviously it's still stuff that needs to be discussed because it is happening, regardless of whether we like it or not. This stuff is happening behind the scenes. But anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning into this video. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to smash that like button. Make sure to subscribe for new, because this was one of those videos that I just throw out there because you guys enjoy this type of stuff. So I'm going to keep pumping out content that you guys like and you guys will enjoy, because I love this channel. But anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning in. This was Silver Slayer. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.